Back in the day, if you wanted to put meat in the freezer, the .35 caliber was the king of the woods. Whether you were dropping a charging bear or putting a tag on a trophy buck, these heavy hitters delivered raw stopping power. But you look around the gun rack today, things have changed. Most of these legendary rounds are disappearing faster than cheap surplus ammo. It is a strange evolution to watch. These cartridges work. They have put down more game than most of us will see in a lifetime. Yet, the industry treats them like museum pieces. You would think these rifles would be family heirlooms, passed down from father to son, staying in the field forever. But that is not the reality we are living in. Why? Simple physics and modern engineering. We are living in the golden age of ballistics. With high-tech propellants and advanced projectile designs, we can get smaller calibers to fly flatter, penetrate deeper, and hit just as hard. Decades ago, if you needed kinetic energy, you grabbed a .35. Today, you can get that same performance off the shelf at any big box store with modern, common calibers. Sure, you have the old-school diehards who refuse to switch. But the new generation of shooters? They look at these rounds as obsolete, expensive, and frankly, a hassle to source. What was once the gold standard is now just a footnote in reloading manuals. Number 5. .35 Remington. Coming in at number 5, we have the old woodsman, the .35 Remington, born way back in 1906. This round cut its teeth in the thick timber of the Northeast. If you were tracking whitetail in Maine or the Adirondacks, this was the hammer you carried. It offered a serious step up in lethality compared to the .30-30 Winchester. Now, most folks associate this round with a lever gun, but history tells a different story. It was actually built for a semi-auto, the Remington Model 8. That is why the brass is rimless, unlike your standard rimmed lever-action cartridges. However, the .35 Remington truly became an American icon when Marlin chambered their legendary .336 for it. That rifle cemented its legacy in deer camps across the country. Ballistically, it is a thumper. Standard factory loads push a 200-grain projectile at about 2,080 feet per second. That gives you roughly 1,776 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. If you want to turn up the heat, you grab some buffalo bore heavy hitters. They push a 220-grain hard-cast bullet at 2,200 feet per second. Now you are looking at 2,364 foot-pounds of energy. For a cartridge over a century old, that is serious medicine. It was never trying to be a .30-30. It was always something more. While you can still find lever guns in this caliber, its days as a primary hunting round are effectively over. Number 4. .35 Whelen. Moving to number 4, we have a beast of a different color. The .35 Whelen. Introduced in 1922, but not standardized until 1988. This thing is a ballistic freight train. We are talking about a 200-grain slug leaving the muzzle at 2,900 feet per second. That is enough kinetic energy to drop anything walking on the North American continent, including a Kodiak brown bear. Now, there is a common misconception about the name. People think Colonel Townsend Whelen designed it. Actually, it was James V. Howe, a brilliant gunsmith, who built it and named it after the colonel out of respect. The concept is pure American ingenuity. Take a standard .30-06 Springfield case, expand the neck to accept a .358 diameter bullet. Done. But do not mistake simple for weak. This is arguably the most powerful non-magnum cartridge you can buy over the counter today. Load this up with Hornady Superformance, and that 200-grain projectile generates a massive 3,760 foot-pounds of energy. In the hands of a capable marksman, it is an absolute hammer. Remington finally gave it a stamp of legitimacy in 1988. Since then, it has maintained a cult following that borders on religious. However, outside of that inner circle, the general public never really caught on. Thanks to some specific state laws allowing single-shot rifles for primitive seasons, it is on life support. But let's be real. Give it another generation, and the Whelen will likely be a conversation piece rather than a field rifle. Number 3. .350 Remington Magnum. At number 3, we have a round with a short but interesting life. The .350 Remington Magnum. Launched in 1965. This cartridge had some serious backing, including the approval of the legendary Jeff Cooper. Alongside the 6.5 Remington Magnum, this was the grandfather of the modern short magnum craze. It made its debut in Alaska, paired with the ultralight Remington Model 600. The idea was brilliant. A guide gun you could carry up a mountain all day without fatigue, but still had the horsepower to stop a moose or a bear in a defensive situation. The downside? Physics. Touching off a round with that much pressure in a featherweight rifle produces recoil that is snappy to say the least. But it was manageable for experienced shooters. Jeff Cooper even used a custom scout rifle in this caliber to take a lion, which really added to the mystique. Commercially, though, it flamed out fast. 10 years after launch, it was already disappearing from catalogs. Remington tried a reboot in 2002 with the Model 673 guide gun. The market just shrugged. It is a shame, because the ballistics are solid. Pushing a 225-grain bullet at 2,550 feet per second delivers 3,248 foot-pounds of energy. That will anchor any game animal you cross paths with. The problem today is logistics. If you own a .350 Remington Magnum, you better be a handloader. Finding a box of factory ammo for this thing is like finding a unicorn at the range. Number 2. .358. Winchester number 2 is a personal favorite for many timber hunters. The .358 Winchester, released in 1955. This round found a home in some truly classic platforms. The Winchester Model 88 lever action, the Model 100 semi-auto. You even saw it in the Browning BLR and the Ruger 77. The recipe was familiar. Take the .308 Winchester brass, neck it up to .358, and you get a short-action cartridge that hits like a truck. It was marketed as the modern evolution of the old .348 Winchester. It hit harder than the .35 Remington, but still fit in a handy short-throw action. Its golden era was definitely when Winchester was pumping out the Model 88. Those rifles are collector's items now. Performance-wise, it is no slouch. It launches a 250-grain bullet at 2,200 feet per second. That equals 2,686 foot-pounds of energy. Respectable numbers. So what killed it? Competition. The .338 Federal came along and did essentially the same job, but with better marketing and bullet selection. The .338 took the market share and never gave it back. You can still find .358 Winchester ammo if you dig deep enough, but it is scarce. If you run this caliber, stock up on brass. And honestly, learning to cast your own lead projectiles might be the only way to keep this classic running for the long haul. Number 1. .356 Winchester, and finally at number 1, the .356 Winchester, born in 1982. This was a cartridge designed with a very specific mission: save the Winchester Model 94. Winchester released this alongside the .307 Winchester, trying to beef up their lever gun lineup. Both of these were rimmed modifications of the .308 case. Think of the .356 as a rimmed version of the .358 Winchester we just talked about. You lost maybe 50 to 100 feet per second in velocity due to the lever action pressures. But practically speaking, the terminal performance was identical. The failure here wasn't the engineering. It was the calendar. By the early 80s, the hunting world was moving on. Bolt actions and semi-autos were dominating the market. Hunters wanted high velocity and long range, not another heavy, short-range lever gun round. The reception was lukewarm at best. It didn't even last a decade before it started fading into obscurity. Out of every cartridge on this list, the .356 Winchester is the one most likely to go extinct first. If you have a Model 94 in this chambering, listen to me closely. Buy every single box of ammo you see. Do not hesitate. Start reloading immediately. Because once the existing stock is gone, it is gone. Handloading is going to be the only lifeline this rifle has left. So, there is the rundown. 5 members of the .35 caliber club that are slowly walking into the sunset. They were all heavy hitters in their prime. Now, they are either gone or hanging by a thread. I want to hear from you guys. Do you have one of these in your safe? Would you drag one of these legends out for a hunt this season, just for the nostalgia? Or do you think modern ballistics have officially made them obsolete? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ballistic history, go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Stay safe, and I will see you down the range.